Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ontario Science Center's live stream event. My name is Nestor. My pronouns are he, him, and I am a host from the Ontario Science Center. The Summer Olympics are happening, and today we are going to be talking about a sport making its debut at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, skateboarding. Yes, I am so happy to be here with Maddy Balt, a member of Canada Skateboard's 2021 national team. Hey, Maddie, I made sure to wear my skate shoes for this. There you go.
Right on.
I ain't no skater, but y'all are gnarly and so cool, so I want to be just like you for now. So how are you doing today, Maddie?
I'm doing great, Nestor. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for being here. So welcome, Maddie, and welcome everyone watching. We'd love to hear from where you're tuning in from today, and the chat is open. So you can post there to say hi. You can also post any questions you have in the chat, and we'll do our best to get to as many questions as we can. All right, so I am not at the Ontario Science Centre right now, but I am in Toronto, where the Science Centre is located. And I would like to begin by acknowledging that the Ontario Science Centre sits on the ancestral lands and territories of many nations, including the Anishinaabe Nation, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation and the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Wendat peoples. The land is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Maddie is joining us today from Whistler, British Columbia, which is located on the shared unceded territory of the Squamish Nation and the Lil'wat Nation. As a settler descended from 3 generations of settlers, I am truly grateful to be able to live and work on this land alongside Indigenous peoples who have cared for it since time immemorial. A land acknowledgement is an opportunity to reflect on how Indigenous people have shaped the country's past and how it should influence the country now and going forward. Some of you today may be joining us from outside of Toronto, so I encourage you to learn about the peoples, treaties, and histories of the land we live on. One resource you may find really helpful as a starting point in Canada is whos.land.ca. We'll drop the link in the chat. All right, so we are right in the thick of the Summer Olympics, Maddie. The opening ceremonies were just last Friday, and I've been cheering on our Canadian athletes already. There are 4 sports making their debut at the Olympics this year. I think everyone watching may have a big clue what one of them is, skateboarding, yeah. But let me ask you all a trivia question, okay? Cue the PowerPoint. Here we go. So the question is, which sports are making their Olympic debut this summer? Hint, there are 4, and you can't say skateboarding because skateboarding we already mentioned. So there's 3 more, 4 in total. Put your answers in the chat. All right, give you a few seconds. All right, we see answers coming in. All right, so the answers are, here we go. Karate, sport climbing, surfing, and of course, skateboarding, what we're here for today. All right, so let's welcome Maddy Balt, again, a member of Canada Skateboard's 2021 national team. Folks, she's an elite competitive skateboarder, okay? Elite, top of the top, best of the best. So Maddie, we'd love to hear more about you, okay? How did you get started with skateboarding, and how did you get to where you are now? Again, I said you are the best of the best. The national team is kind of a big deal, so no need to be humble. On to you.
Well, thanks so much, Nestor. I just want to start off by saying thanks for having me, guys. My name is Maddy Balt, pronouns she, her. And yeah, I'm in Whistler right now. I guess I'll start off. I grew up in Brooklyn, Ontario. I started skateboarding when I was around 8 years old. And then unfortunately, I kind of fell out of the sport, and I didn't skate for almost 8 years. And then I started skateboarding again, and it was announced that skateboarding was going to be in the Olympics. So I kind of got really interested in that. I started skating in competitions, and then Canada Skateboard is like our governing body, and they started putting off different contests. And so I went to a contest, and I actually won, and that's how I kind of got my start in skateboarding. And after that, I started competing in different Olympic qualifiers. And now that's kind of how I got to where I am today on the national team.
Wow, she's a winner. So I do have to ask Maddie, we're probably all wondering, but do you have your skateboard with you?
I do actually. Yeah, it's right here beside me.
Okay, so could you show us and tell us a bit about the different parts and what makes it special?
Yeah, for sure. So this is my skateboard here. As you can see, I've got some of my stickers on here. These are my sponsors and things like that. And then this is an 8.25 in size. So that's kind of the width of it. If we look this way, the width across. And that's what different people will skate depending on their personal preference, shoe size, different things like that. And then these are our trucks right here. And wheels, bearings allow it to spin. And with our wheels, a big thing is you want to determine what hardness or duro you want to skate. So I skate 99 duro because I want it to be a little bit grippy so it's not super slidey around. But if people are wanting to do more power slides and stuff like that, you can skate harder duro, which is 99 or sorry, higher than 99, so like 101. It's pretty cool how you can kind of personalize it to your own yourself.
I love it. I love how it's like sunshine yellow, so bright and fun and just vibrant.
Yeah,
right?
thanks. I try to do the grip tape like a little sunshine.
I love that.
Yeah,
This
so
cool.
that's another thing, I guess, is you can like design your own grip tape and do it in different ways.
Love that creativity. So this all sounds so familiar, Maddie, because we had a special skateboarding show at the Science Center a few years ago during March break, and I learned about the different parts of the board and why they are made of certain materials or shaped in different ways. I also got to try skateboarding. I do remember my first time on a skateboard. Disclaimer, y'all, I am not a skateboarder, but it was hard. Right, I remember it had to do with a lot of like finding my balance. And everyone watching, have you all tried skateboarding before? If you have, how was it? Like, was it hard to balance? Let us know in the chat. One thing I found helpful when I was trying to balance was to try to keep my center of mass over my base support, which was my feet on the skateboard, right? So it was easier to balance when my feet were further apart and my knees were bent, right? This meant that I had a wider base of support and a lower center of mass. And I was also using my senses to keep me balanced, right? My brain was combining all the information it was getting from my eyes and the muscles and nerves in my legs and feet, and something called the vestibular system, which is a group of canals and sacs way inside your inner ear that sense motion and whether your body is upside down or not. So audience at home, we have a challenge for you. Okay, so make sure you have some space, all right? So I want you all to stand up tall. Yep, stand up and try to balance on both feet. That was a trick one because that's actually called standing, right? It's pretty easy. Yeah. Okay, so now try balancing on one foot. One foot, y'all. Okay, it's a little bit harder, right? Now, close your eyes while balancing on one foot. Harder, right? So by closing our eyes, you've actually taken a big source of information that was helping your brain keep you balanced away. So that's pretty cool. So you can train and practice to improve your balance. And I've heard that footballers practice ballet for balance and strength. And so I know that sometimes athletes train differently outside of the sport they're doing. And balance is a huge part of skateboarding, right, Maddie? Yeah.
Huge.
So there are many different things you have to train as well and able to do those amazing tricks you do, I'm guessing. So I think we have some photos of you in action to show our audience. So let's pull up those pictures. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there I am.
Yep, there's a star. Okay, Maddie, so I have a question for you. Very easy, but very general. How do you train for skateboarding?
Yeah, well, I mean, skateboarding is a very physical sport, and you put your body through a lot. So I actually go to the gym pretty much every day. I'm very fortunate out here. I work with the CSI Institute, and I have personal trainers there that tailor different like exercises to my personal needs as a skateboarder. So I'll actually do different jumps and stuff with weights, and then that makes my pop higher. And pop is when I ollie and trying to jump over things. And then I also snowboard, which I find helps a lot with hitting rails. It's the same center of balance almost. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than going to the gym and snowboarding, that's more or less my training. And then obviously I do skate for hours in a day.
I love that. Yes, that all sounds so tricky, Get it? Tricky and tricky. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it takes a lot of work and dedication to make sure you're ready to compete, right? So let's talk about competing. There are different types of skateboarding featured at the Olympics this year: street and park. The street events at the Olympics happened this past weekend, and we had three athletes representing Canada: Mickey Papa, Matt Berger for the men, and Annie Guglia for the women. And she had an amazing journey for the Olympics, and you should check it out. Um, I, I wanted to mention something amazing about the women's street events, though. The top three athletes were all teens. Isn't that awesome? Like, whoa.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
So, Momiji Nishia from Japan won gold. She's just 13 years old. Silver medalist Haisa Leal from Brazil is also 13. And the bronze medalist Funa Nakayama is 16. Whoa. And the park
Well,
events.
you know something crazy about Funa is that apparently she only started skateboarding 4 years ago. Yeah.
Whoa. So that means
4 years.
anyone can do it. Kind of.
Absolutely. I mean, if that's one thing that like young women need to see, that to show that anybody can do this sport, is that our literal top three girls in the Olympics were 13, 13, and 16. Anybody can do this sport. You just got to try.
Yep, I love that. Okay, so Maddie, speaking of these competitions, could you explain these two types of competitions to us? Maybe some of the differences and similarities of street and park. I think we have some photos to show, so let's pull that up while you explain it all to us.
Yeah, for sure. So this is park skateboarding, one of the disciplines in the Olympics. And essentially with park skateboarding is they're going to do tricks over the coping, which is that metal piece you can see runs along the top of the ramp. So they'll do big airs, big grinds, and different tricks going into and out of the transition. We've got a couple nice parks in there. I see Venice Beach. I like that park a lot. But yeah, essentially transition skating and park courses, it's almost meant to exemplify a pool. So as if you were skateboarding in a pool. And then for street, I think we have some photos of that as well. There we go. Awesome. So street is my discipline that I skateboard on. And as you can see here, we have some rails, ledges, different stair sets. So that's essentially what street skateboarding is all about. It's very similar to what you would see as if you were actually just out walking on your street. You know, you might see a couple staircases, you might see some rails or handrails. And actually, I just saw a good question pop up in the comments there. How much protective equipment do you need? And that's one thing about skateboarding is you always want to be safe, be cautious, start small. You don't want to just go see a big stair set and try to jump down it. You definitely have to work on progression. But yeah, for street, it's pretty much what we've got here, all the ledges, rails, and staircases.
I love that. Are there any other like types of skateboarding not featured in the Olympics?
There's two actually. Vert skateboarding is if anybody's ever heard of Tony Hawk, he's a big vert skater. So he'll skate on these big, huge half pipes and do similar tricks to park where you fly out and do spins and grabs. And then there's also a really wild one called Big Air where they drop in on a huge ramp. They go really, really fast and fly over a gap. And then, they're going to do a trick over the gap, whether it's a 360, a 720, and then they hit a big vert wall and see how high they can go and if they can do any spins on that as well.
Cool. Yeah, I heard you mention some numbers like 360 and all that stuff. So for our viewers, Maddie is talking about the degrees of rotation. So it sounds like skateboarding involves a lot of math as well, right?
It can. Definitely can.
Science is everywhere, y'all. Science is everywhere. Okay, so viewers at home, we have another challenge for you. Okay, again, make sure that you have some space so you're safe. All right, so you all ready? Now, here's a challenge. Try jumping and spinning around a half turn. All right, you did that. That's 180 degrees or 180 in skateboarding lingo. Now try a full turn. How many degrees would that be? 360 degrees, yes. So can anyone do 2 full turns? How many degrees would that be? 2 full turns. 720. So imagine doing that flying through the air on a skateboard. I'm just dizzy thinking about it. But Maddie does stuff like this all the time. Cool.
Yeah, similar things for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned, Maddie, that you compete in street skateboarding. You mentioned some of the elements in the street course before, and I'd love to learn more about those. So, but first, let's see if our audience can identify them. Let's bring up the question slide. All right. Can you name these different features in a street skateboarding course? Anybody know the names of A, B, C, D, and E? Type it in the chat. All right, give it a second for everyone to type their answers. Anybody know? Answers coming in. Love that. Okay, so I see a lot of these different ones: stairs, rails. Maddie, can you help us out and tell us about each of them as we reveal the answers?
Yeah, absolutely. So letter A here is a rail. And that's where we're going to do board slides, different grinds, whether that's on our front truck or back truck. There's a lot of different things you can do on a rail. And then our second one is a ledge. Similar to a rail, you can actually do almost all of the same tricks. It's just sometimes a little easier because there's more to balance on. And for C, we've got a staircase. So that's where we're going to be doing ollies down, different flip tricks, spins. Again, you can do 360s down staircases. And for D, this is a hubba. And so essentially what we're going to do down that is similar to a ledge. It just makes it harder because you're going down. So 5-0s, again, grinds, board slides. And then our quarter pipe here is our last one. And that's actually a park feature. But in every street course, you're going to have a park feature at the end or somewhere in there because they like us to have something to turn around on or do different transition tricks on. So myself as a street skater, it's actually really important that I also can skate a little bit of park.
Nice. Versatile.
Yeah. Right? Well, Maddie, people who skate both, they call them all-terrain vehicles.
Okay, Maddie, I'm going to ask you a really hard question, okay?
Okay.
If you were to choose any of these to skate forever and only one, which one would you choose?
Ooh, that is tough. I would probably pick rails. I've really taken a liking to rails in the past year or so.
I love that. And rails are like different. You can like different shapes and contortions of it. So you can challenge yourself.
There's square rails, round rails. There's a lot of different shapes and styles of rail for sure.
I love that. All right. Thank you for the slide. Okay. So now we know the different parts of the street course. So Maddie, when you're competing, you have to put together a run, right? And this consists of many different tricks on different features of a skate park while all obeying the laws of physics. So, question for the audience. Which of these forces come into play while skateboarding? A, gravity, B, friction, C, torque, or D, all of the above? A, B, C, or D? All right. Type in your answers in the chat. Here we go. And the answer is D, all of the above, yes. So when a skater jumps while performing a trick or comes over the top of a pipe or rail, gravity is acting on both of them and their skateboard to pull them back down to earth. While they're at the top of a big ramp or jump, a skater has a lot of potential or stored energy. This gets changed to kinetic or moving energy as they fall back to the ground or roll down a ramp, and it gives them the speed they need to complete more tricks. Anytime a skater is rolling along, there is rolling friction between their wheels and the ground. Remember Maddie mentioned how softer wheels can give her more grip? That grip is called traction. When a skateboarder grinds or slides on a rail or a hubba, there is a static or sliding friction between their board and the surface of the rail. And you can feel this kind of friction when you rub your hands together just like this. And finally, when a skateboarder does a trick that involves a spin like a front side 180, they need to apply a force to the ground or their board that will cause torque. And torque is a twisting force. You can apply torque by applying more force or by the force being farther away from your axis of rotation, the point where you're rotating around, and skaters use torque in tricks. And all of these tricks are possible because of physics. Yes, it takes a lot of training, planning, creativity to try to make all of these forces work for you rather than against you when you're doing your tricks. So Maddie, tell us, how do you put together a great run?
Well, a great run, it's very key in competition. So one of the biggest things that I do to start off with is when I get to the course, I try to figure out how long it takes me to get across the course. Because typically in a run, we only have 45 seconds. So you want to make sure that you're utilizing that time the best you can and getting all the tricks and hits in that you can. So I'll figure out, say it takes me 15 seconds to get across the course. In those 15 seconds, I might be able to ollie down a stair set, front side board slide down a rail. And then I'm going to end up at the quarter pipe likely, which is typically at the end of every course. I'm going to turn around and I'm going to come back. That's another 15 seconds where maybe I can hit that hubba and that rail. And then I'm going to have one more time because 15 plus 15, 30, 45 seconds is one more pass along the park. And I'm going to, go down the other rail or the other stair side and see if I can maybe do a couple harder tricks because you want to typically make it harder throughout your run. And yeah, that's typically how I would piece together a run.
Maddie, we gotta see this in action, right? We gotta see it. So I think we have a video of one of your runs. So let's pull that video up so we can watch it. And Maddie, could you tell us about it as we go?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Let's give it a second as we pull up the video of Maddie. Here we go.
Nice. Yeah, this was for the Canada Skateboard contest. Nice. So we're ollieing up. This is a backside 50-50 I did there. And then this is a quarter pipe. So as you can see, I'm kind of turning around, getting ready to go hit some more features. Right here, I'm really picking up some speed to make sure I can get to the end of this rail. That's a front side board slide. And then I'm going to take a second here, just compose myself, maybe take a breath. Skateboarding's hard. And then backside board slide, ollie up, and backside 180 off.
Love that.
Yeah, so that's actually my home, quote unquote, home park in Whistler here. So I usually skate there every day.
Love that. Maddie, you mentioned front side board slide. Could you explain to us what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a trick on a rail. It's actually one of my favorite tricks. So that's where the center of my board is on the rail, and I'm actually going backwards across the rail, looking over my shoulder to see where I'm going. It's a pretty tricky one, but I find, as I said earlier, because I snowboard, I have a little bit of an advantage on the rails sometimes because I'm used to doing those sorts of tricks.
Cool. Okay, so now you know how to put together an epic run and what you need to compete. So how do you get into the actual Olympics?
Yeah, well, it's been a bit of a crazy process just because skateboarding is so new in the Olympics. But essentially what you want to do is our governing body, Canada Skateboard, they host different contests. And I mean, I guess before that, you could even start at going to some local events, any local contest that you can find, and try to start competing there because it's always great to have experience and learn how competitions work. And then Canada Skateboard usually runs a contest series, and it should be coming back next year, I would think, with COVID hopefully leaving us alone. And so once you enter into the Canada Skateboard contest, you can start to earn points through that. And then what you want to do is maybe hit the national championships, which is another Canada Skateboard contest. And through that, they're going to get to see, you as a skater. They can see if you have potential to maybe be on the national team. And that's how it all came through for me as I went to a Canada Skateboard contest in Cloverdale here in BC. And I won. And right after that, they were like, oh, my goodness, do you want to come skate for us in California at this Olympic qualifier? And I was a little bit mind blown. I was like, Olympic qualifier, oh my goodness. And yeah, it's been history ever since. So you just want to start at the national level and And once you get to those Olympic qualifiers, you just have to do the best you can because they only take 20, top 20 in the world. And that's a tough bracket to get into. But if you make it, then you're at the Olympics.
I love that. Yeah, they know a star when they see one, just like Maddy Balt. So we know this is the first time skateboarding is actually being featured as a sport at the Olympics. What does it mean for the actual sport? Like, are y'all celebrating and partying it up safely?
Yeah, definitely safely. I think it's really good for the sport. I think it's going to bring a lot of eyes to skateboarding, and I hope that it shows to everybody that skateboarding is for everybody and anybody can do this. It's not necessarily just a sport for the boys at all. It's skateboarding is for everybody. And I also think that it's going to bring us a lot more skate parks because more people are going to be skateboarding. People are going to look at it as maybe a more legitimized sport because skateboarding sometimes can have a bad rep, but it's not bad at all. We just like to have fun as with everybody else. But yeah, I think more money in the industry as well. I think it's a really good thing overall.
I love that. Yeah. So this is also probably inspiring to a lot of young people out there. So Maddie, my question for you is who inspires you or what inspires you?
Well, I have a lot of people in the industry that inspire me. There's a lot of pioneers here that are really just, paving ways for people like me to be able to be seen in the industry. And I really appreciate all of them. As well, Alexis Sablone is a pretty big inspiration for me. She is a professional skateboarder. She actually just got 4th at the Olympics, which is amazing. And she's, I believe, over 30 now. She's been skating for years and years, and she's got sick style. She's super cool. But she's also an architect, and she went to MIT for architecture, which is a really renowned school for that. And she did all of that while being a professional skateboarder. So I just think that's really cool. And there's actually, I was just watching the Olympics the other day, and Charlotte Him, who I know, but I didn't know, she's also a neuroscientist. So it's like, you can be a pro skater and you can really have it all. And I think that's pretty inspiring.
I love that. I love that so much. Like science is everywhere. Our architect, neuroscience, like that's all science, skateboarding, science. Love that. Science is everywhere again.
Mm-hmm.
So Maddie, my question for you is what's next for you? Like where will we find you in the future?
Well, next for me, unfortunately, I didn't get to go to Tokyo from an injury. So I'm really, really focused on Paris 2024. I'd really like to be at those Olympics and try and represent my country. I think it'd be really cool. Other than that, I'm working on filming a video part right now. So I'm going to be street skateboarding, which is where I'm just actually going to be cruising kind of downtown and skating in different staircases, rails that I just find along the streets, as long as it's safe and allowed. But also getting photos for different magazines and just, trying to have fun with my friends and hopefully travel around once restrictions open up a little bit.
Yep, you heard it here, everyone. Paris 2024, Maddie will be our Canadian rep. Love this. Let's put it out there to the universe. Love it. We'll look out for you for sure. So we do have a bit of time to answer some audience questions. There's a bit of questions here. There's one called by Brenda. They asked, have you ever really hurt yourself?
Oh my goodness. Yes. Unfortunately, skateboarding is an extreme sport, and I have definitely hurt myself quite a few times. I've suffered 3 very severe ankle injuries. I've broken my wrist, I think 3 times skateboarding. I've hit my head a couple times. You've really got to be careful out there, and it's really, really important that you wear your protective equipment when you're starting out, even all the way through, because it's very common to hurt yourself.
For sure. We have a question from Jennifer. They ask, so skateboarding athletes choreograph their own runs, no coach?
Well, before, yes, it was really just up to us. But with the Olympics and the way that everything's going now, there are coaches that are starting to come into play. And as much as I do still essentially have full control over what I do, it's really nice to have somebody there that can provide input and, say, oh, well, maybe this would be a better idea. It's interesting the way that it's going with coaches. I never thought that I would have a coach, but it does really help at times.
Cool. So like, have you had the same coach for a long time? Like, how do you learn? Do you learn from other boarders as well?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my progression, I would say, comes just from skating with my friends and skating with people that push me to be better. But I also recently started working with this coach, Trent Thomas, back in Toronto. And he is super awesome. He's really, really good at what he does. And there's tricks that he's taught me that I never even thought I would be able to do. So it's cool when like he saw in me, he's like, well, you have a really great front side board slide. So that means you could do this other trick that's called a front feeble, which is tough. Your back truck's on the rail and your front truck isn't. It's dipped down. So that was a tough one, but I did it, and it didn't even take that long to learn, which was cool.
Cool. So like, have you ever taught skateboarding? Like, have you ever coached younger starting athletes?
Yeah, actually, I run lessons here in Whistler on my own, as well as I was a skateboard camp manager for quite a few years. So as my passion is super strong, so I love to try and spread that to other people because I think skateboarding is great and it's something everybody should try.
Love that. So there were many wonderful questions from our audience today. We wish we had more time. If your question wasn't answered live, we will do our best to get to any questions left in this chat over the next few days. I have one last question for Maddie, and I'm sure there are a lot of people watching who may be inspired to try skateboarding for the first time. What advice would you give someone who is starting out in this sport? And what advice would you give your younger self as you start out?
Yeah. Well, my younger self, I would definitely just say don't ever stop skateboarding. Don't ever allow anything to come in the way of, you achieving your dreams. Because there wasn't an industry for it. And I didn't see any contests. I didn't see any girls like me doing it. And that was hard. And that's part of the reason why I fell into the sport. But for anybody that's just starting out, I just want to say what you have to do is keep pushing, keep trying. I'll be the first one to tell you that not every day on your skateboard is going to be the best day ever. Sometimes I have days where I'm just like over it. Oh man, don't want to do this right now. But sometimes it does take a long time to learn a trick. It's taken me a year sometimes to learn a trick. And then once you get it, that's the feeling that we skate for. It's just all that hard work, all those sometimes blood, sweat, and tears that went into it, and you finally achieve it. I think it really teaches people determination and perseverance. But yeah, if you fall down, get back up. It's okay. It's okay to fall. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And just have fun. Make sure you're having fun and being safe.
Right? Talent, passion, hard work. You said determination. All of these are words that describe you. So wow, thank you. That was really inspiring, Maddie, and thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today. It was wonderful to hear from you about your training, your journey, and learn so much about skateboarding as it makes its way to its Olympic debut. Like, whoa. Again, we want to thank everyone for tuning in. I hope you are feeling inspired to try skateboarding for yourself and to watch and support our Canadian athletes competing in Tokyo this week. The park events are coming up this weekend on August 3rd and 4th, so make sure to tune in. If you want to learn more about skateboarding or other challenging sports, you can visit us on our website, on site actually, at the Ontario Science Centre when we reopen to the public on Wednesday, August 4th, and head down to the AstraZeneca Human Edge. A reminder that we are limiting capacity to ensure physical distancing, and everyone, including Science Centre members, must book a time ticket in advance. So check out our website, ontariosciencecentre.ca, for more information, and you can find information on future live events, recordings of past live streams, including this one, and other great science content on our website, ontariosciencecentre.ca. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe to all our social channels. Maddie, how can we find you in the social world? Drop your ats.
On Instagram, you can find me at Maddy_Balt. And on Facebook, I also have a Facebook page, Maddy Balt. I also just want to say, hi, Mom. Love you.
Hey, Mom. All right. Thank you one last time to Maddie. I had an amazing time talking with you today. We definitely weren't bored. Get it? Bored? Yeah. Okay. Any last words, Maddie? Any last words?
Everybody go try skateboarding. Be safe. Tune in this weekend to watch Andy Anderson. He's our guy from Canada skating in park. So definitely tune in and cheer him on because he's not that he's going to need it, but he'd appreciate it.
All right. Okay, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in. I hope to see you again at the Science Center events in person, maybe. Our next live stream event is on Wednesday, August 11th. All right, everyone.